Under the imminent threat of a strike by the Category 5 Hurricane Rita, the Rowan, Louisiana, a Laterno 116 C-Class jackup drilling rig began to prepare for evacuations. As Hurricane Rita approached, the final preparations were completed and the crew finalized evacuations. With the weather deteriorating rapidly, the rig began to sustain hurricane forces. For several days, while sustaining winds in excess of 155 miles per hour, with gusts close to 190 and seas up to 90 feet, the rig hull separated from its legs, and the hull drifted from the location as the legs fell to the seafloor. BISSO Marine would later refloat the hull from the Louisiana coast some 100 miles north of the offshore location. With the hull of the Rowan, Louisiana refloated, BISSO Marine mobilized the derrick barge Boaz to the pre-Hurricane Rita drilling location to find three 320-foot-long legs stuck into the mud, each with 80-plus feet of penetration. These legs were at an approximate 25-degree angle and were extending to near the water's surface, posing a hazard to navigation. Cut in the water column by BISSO Marine salvage divers, the derrick barge Boaz removed two 90-foot sections from each of the three legs, thus eliminating any hazard to navigation exposures for the customer. The derrick barge Boaz placed the recovered leg sections onto a materials barge and transported them back to the customer's shore base approximately 120 miles to the north-northwest. Once the upper sections of the legs were removed, BISSO Marine mobilized the purpose-built heavy-lift pulling barge, Barge 415, to the location to provide up to 3,000 tons of over-the-stern pulling force to the 150-foot-long remaining leg and can sections. BISSO Marine salvage divers connected the massive rigging from Barge 415 to the four pre-rigged 4.5-inch lifting chains which were installed on the leg sections and applied an average force of 2,000 tons to stand the legs vertical. Once the legs were vertical, Barge 415 increased the pulling forces to near 3,000 tons to extract the legs and cans from the 80-plus feet of penetration. Assisting in the removal of mud was the tar heel, a custom-built 24-inch diameter by 65-foot-long jet string powered by 2140 CFM of compressed air at a pressure of 385 psi, as well as 5600 GPM of 1150 psi water. The tar heel removed a vast quantity of mud, thus reducing mud cohesion and friction and eliminating mud weight. With approximately 3,000 tons of force being applied to the leg and can, Barge 415, supported by the tar heel, began to ease the leg and can out of the mud as 2 to 3 foot seas reacted with the buoyancy of Barge 415, asserting a dynamic load on the leg and can section. Continuing to apply a pulling force and working with the Barge 415's own buoyancy, the tar heel continued to remove mud until the leg and can were free from the grip of the seafloor. With the bottom of the 150-foot-long, 450-ton section of leg and can at the mudline, BISSO marine salvage divers connected an additional 4-inch winch wire to the lower portion of the leg and can section and lifted the bottom of the leg and can out of the hole and rotated the leg and can section up under the hull of Barge 415 to safely transport the section to a designated reef site 75 miles to the west of the salvage location. Upon completion of the first leg and can removal, the remaining leg and can sections were removed using the same salvage method. As the final leg and can section were delivered to the reef section, the section was positioned over the reef site. The final section was then lowered and placed next to the 2 previously reefed sections. Once the section was firmly placed onto the seafloor, divers then disconnected the salvage rigging, and the project is completed.